when you start speaking in binary to business owners,
right,
you will lose them so quick. So quick. There is nothing more unattractive to them than somebody speaking technical to them. Get to the point.
Right.
Speak to me as a fifth grader would and help me understand why we need this thing.
Exactly.
Keep that in mind, that you can sit there and you can say, yeah, I'm going to be, as Johnny did, I'm going to learn all this technical stuff. And then when I talk to regular people, I'm going to sound so smart
right,
that they're going to hang up on me.
And that's how it was, man. I'm saying, I didn't hear the click so fast in my life. Like, man.
What's going on, tech team? It is JustMyTechCents, where we talk tech, finance, and lifestyle. My name is WillDoesTech, and I'm joined by my co-host,
JohnnieTech. What
JohnnieTech
up, Tech
in the building. Round of applause.
Here it is.
For JohnnieTech being in the building on the same day. We got it. So today on this episode, we want to talk about MOS. What's MOS, Johnny?
Money over security.
Money over security.
Money over security.
Money over security. And in this regard, we're talking cybersecurity and why it's hard out there.
Right.
It's hard out there to get a job. And why is that? Because it's money over security. Cybersecurity is a cost center. And it's just one of those things when it comes to profit margins. Companies are willing to take risk, right? They've done the cost risk analysis,
right?
Cost benefit analysis. I was trying to think of risk.
Have they done it, or are they just looking at like, hey, we're getting this much profit and we're gonna run with it?
I'm sure they've done some sort of cost benefit,
right,
or risk analysis pertaining to their, to the business. But we know that some kind of incident can shut a business down real quick.
Right.
But yeah. MOS. So what are your thoughts on money over security?
I mean, I feel like money over security is it's in the industry now, it's almost as like a known fact being a security professional.
Okay.
Most organizations, the bottom line of the business supersedes security, right?
Sure.
And I think that's just what we usually see, right? So as security professionals, you may have experienced it yourself. You're in the field, you're saying like, hey, we probably should use this tool. It's gonna be more impactful. We should probably put this into place, and like, well, that's gonna stop production. We can't have it happen, right? So, and I feel like if you're not explaining those things in a certain manner, it's not being heard. And then I think a lot of people, in the sense of also talking about as far as like trying to land jobs, you're doing interviews, like you might be talking about things that the company just doesn't care about. Yeah. You're breaking down CVEs and different threats and malware that's going on. They're like, so what?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I understand from a business side why, they would say MOS, right? It's one, that you're in the business of making money. Right. And, at the end of the day, if an incident costs more to mitigate than, the occurrence of that incident, then why are you paying that much money for, to prevent it when the cost to if it happened, to remediate it would, be less.
Much, right.
I
think you do they do the cost benefit analysis. You look at some risk acceptance, and I think the risk acceptance and all those things are for your as a security analyst or professional. You're going to kind of go over some of those things. Yeah. But at the same time, I would say, in general, and I've done it at times, we're not necessarily speaking to what the business actually cares about, right? Yeah. So everything that you do security wise does affect the business. You just need to frame it in that manner to where they understand, okay, what is the actual need for this, right?
Right.
So I think that's something that is not talked about, right? So we can mention things that are going on security wise with a certain tool or the impact, but you need to speak to in terms like, okay, this actually affects the downtime. But what does downtime mean to business? Right. We're not making money. Right. So I feel like these are ways that, as a security professional, once you start talking like this, you're gonna start getting those jobs. Yep. You're gonna make more money because like, oh, he's making us money. They're gonna look at you as look at you as money, right? They're like, we need him here because he makes sure that everything keep running and then we keep getting paid. Yeah,
and I think that's the thing. It's one, learning how to speak to business owners, right, and allowing them to see that their bottom line is your bottom line. Right. Their vision is your vision, and you have to figure out how to make sure that you are operating within that, right? So everything that you do, you want to make sure that their strategic vision is aligned with how you're actually executing when it comes to your job. And when you can do that, then you can win. And when they understand that you understand what it is, because if they don't make money, you don't make money.
Right.
Then when you start coming with recommendations, they understand off rip that you have done the research that needs to be done in order to have the best solution in place that would allow the company to still make money, but also mitigate whatever vulnerability you're trying to mitigate.
Right. And like, it's funny, I feel like I was definitely blessed early on in my career working the different roles I worked. So like, a good thing about me is like the different roles I've worked, they may not have all been cyber as soon as I graduated, but they had pieces, or I would find somewhere where it related to what I was doing. So initially, one of my first jobs out of college, I was working at a call center, right? And then for a merchant, we basically dealt with merchant processing, all that type of data. So we're calling pretty much small businesses. So if you run a t-shirt shop or something like that and you take credit cards, we basically help you with your merchant processing. So during this time, PCI DISS was somewhat of a thing, right? So we had a tool that we were selling that basically helps them cover that, right? So we're making these phone calls, and I was like, hey, I would like to lead that, because I was like, well, it has something to do with cyber or technology in a sense. I like to lead that process.
Yeah.
So I did. So I had my team of people. And I said, hey, we're going to go out. We had to call these customers that were t-shirt shops, small businesses, things like that. And like, hey, you need to implement this tool in order to cover your PCI compliance. So I'm being all technical like I like to be. It's like, hey, I'm calling them. Hey, you need to add PCI to your compliance. Like, well, what is it? I'm like, well, it does the tokenization. It does click.
Yep.
I'm getting and I'm getting hung up on right away.
That I promise you, and I think that's why I've been so successful, is I've learned to speak to engineers as well as business owners. And when you start speaking in binary to business owners,
right,
you will lose them so quick. So quick. There is nothing more unattractive to them than somebody speaking binary or technical to them. Get to the point.
Right.
Speak to me, as a fifth grader would, and help me understand why we need this thing.
Exactly. And I was so happy I learned it early, because I did all this study, and I'm like, okay, there's tokenization, RSA, point-to-point encryption. I'm on the phone. That's point-to-point encryption, and you're gonna be so safe. Click, time after time. I'm just getting hung up on. I'm like, I'm not doing good at this job. Right. So then eventually, I worked this job for a long time. Eventually, I was like, they don't care about that, right? So then I just started explaining to them, like, well, hey, if you're not PCI compliant, you can't take payments.
That's right.
And then they're like, what we need.
That's it. What we need to do.
Right.
That's it. That's it. So, understand that this is a compliance framework, and it's a contract that you need to adhere to. If not, you can't take payments.
Right.
You just can't.
And the funny thing was, like, everything I researched, it's good that I know about it.
Yeah.
But I never had, once I started telling them that, I never had, they didn't even care how it worked. Like, maybe one person or two people might say, okay, well, how does it work? But everybody's like, what do I need to do to implement it? And then we're just selling the third party software to do it for them. So I'm explaining how the software works. And they're like, all right, who do I talk to get that software? I'm like, well, you already have it. You just need to do whatever. Then I give them that spiel, and then I started getting, I got like a picture of a big check right now. Good
on you. It's like with the CMMC about to happen too. It's like nobody's moving on that, right? Nobody was moving on it, and now it's in order to get government contracts, you need to be CMMC certified.
Right.
Oh, now we're moving. Exactly. Now you're speaking my language. Oh, I can't get a government contract. Now you're speaking my language versus, well, I mean, really, it's for the benefit of both the government and for the government contracting organization. So, when you're not speaking their language, I promise you that's one of the quickest ways to get fired.
Right.
It's like, give me somebody else who knows how to speak to me. And I think for a lot of my jobs too, when I was, when I was picked up, when I do interviews, like, let me figure out who I'm talking to. Right. Oh, I'm talking to the engineers. Okay. Let me make sure that they understand that I understand what they understand.
Right.
And when I'm talking to, let's say the hiring manager or, the owner or whoever,
right.
They understand that I understand what the game is,
right,
what we're trying to do here.
And I think that's the perfect place to be as a security professional, in the sense of saying like, okay, well, I can talk the technical piece. I know what I'm doing here.
Yep.
But being able to relay that message is going to set you apart.
Yeah.
Right. So they're like, let me talk to JohnnieTech.
Yeah.
He knows what we need. Right. And then the engineers are going to respect you too, because they know that you know what you're talking about as well.
Yep.
So like if you have that piece, that's something you need to add to your repertoire, is being able to speak to the higher level stakeholders, because that's going to set you apart,
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, that you're right. There's a skill set on both sides, right? When we talk about the social aspect of it is, okay, I need to, they talk about code changing or whatever. It's like, no, just understand your audience.
Exactly. Right.
And understand that if you're in France, they speak French.
Exactly.
Right. And if you're in, America, they speak English.
Right.
So I mean, we speak more than English, but
Understood, yeah.
the predominant language. So, just understand who you're talking to, and that's going to, one, give you a leg up when it comes to interviews, because I remember being interviewed, and I was talking to the hiring manager, and he was like, we saw that you had the technical chops. I just want to make sure that you know how to talk to me.
Right.
Because if you can talk to me, you can talk to the client.
Exactly.
The client doesn't want to hear about the technical stuff.
Right.
The client wants to know, how do I get after this, and what does this mean for us? And your ability to do that is what made us hire you.
Right.
So again, keep that in mind, that you can sit there and you can say, yeah, I'm going to be, as Johnny did, I'm going to learn all this technical stuff, and then when I talk to regular people, I'm gonna sound so smart
right.
that they're gonna hang up on me.
And that's how it was, man. I'm saying I didn't hear the click so fast in my life. I was like, man, did I offend them?
Right. Who is it? Okay. Right. Is this somebody from another country? You're talking a foreign language to me. People don't understand that. And if you don't understand, they don't understand, then you're going to miss each other, and you're not going to be successful.
Right.
And so understand that it's always money over security, unless you're in the government space, right? It's not, but,
not as much, but
yeah, but even, I mean, that's up for debate too.
Yeah, they're gonna be talking about meeting compliance. You're like, hey, what does it? Is it? Did we meet everything? Do we have the bare, whatever?
Yeah.
They're like, okay, well then we're good.
Yeah, but when you're in the government, it's more about mission, right? Mission and purpose versus, on the private side. So that's why I say, like, it's a little bit different, but again, money makes the world go round.
Right.
So
I like the fact that you also mentioned, not to cut you off, but it's like you mentioned that this is a skill to have, right? So I think that that's important to know too. Like, you can do all the studying on the technical side, getting your chops up, but you still need to be able to, for yourself, if you don't know, understand how the business runs. So when you go to a company, you look at what's important to them, right? So, and then you got to use those terms when you're talking to them, as far as like revenue loss, downtime, operational disruption, things like that. Those terms probably mean something to those companies, right? So like we mentioned, like before, the CrowdStrike outage and different things that went on, you might be able to say, well, this is exactly what happened. The patch happened, whatever. But if you can speak to the damage that caused and how you would be able to come in and overcome those things, you probably go further.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on money over security?
MOS.
MOS.
I'm gonna get an MOS shirt.
MOS.
I'm going to do that.
We're going from MOB to MOS. It's safer.
Right.
It's safer. So what are your thoughts on MOS? Is that the reality of the situation when it comes to businesses? And, do you feel like you would actually excel if you took that on as far as your thought process and interviewing when it comes to companies? So this is just our Tech Sense. I am WillDoesTech, my boy
JohnnieTech,
and we will talk to y'all.
Out.